These open ear headphones have surprisingly good sound and they're crazy comfortable. Let's check them out. Dave Taylor here, and I will tell you I wear headphones and earbuds a lot. I work in a lot of public spaces, so it's noisy, so having my own background music tends to make me able to focus a lot more and be less distracted. So I spend a lot of time with headphones on or with things stuck in my ears, which is why I'm really excited about this new category, or relatively new category, of open ear headphones. So these are a prime example. These are the OpenRock S2 open ear headphones, and you can see it's a different design. It doesn't go in your ear, it goes on top of your ear. So this unit, this part goes behind my ear, and then it just sits gently on top, and the actual speaker is sort of floating above my ear and pointing into my ear canal. You can see that a little bit in this close-up. The result is that I can hear everything around me. There's no isolation, but I also have a music source just a fraction of an inch from my eardrum. So I can listen to podcasts or streaming radio or music or whatever I want to listen to without any distractions. And simultaneously, I am able to hear everything going on around me. So not great if you're trying to isolate, but fantastic if you're gardening or doing a sport, if you want to go for a run, but you want to be aware of the cars around you. These work really well. But as I've said, I have used these in noisy environments and they work pretty well. They're not as good as isolating noise canceling headphones, but this is not that style. And there's no intention for them to be like that. So they are powered by 12 millimeter drivers. And as you can see in this close-up, it's kind of interesting because you can see the speaker. So most of these devices, the speakers are so darn small you can't see them. They're just hidden in the device. But these literally just point at your ear. And just to show you again, putting it on is that easy. Done. And now they're so comfortable that I can absolutely forget I have them on. They're already paired with my phone. They actually run Bluetooth 6.0, so they're very, very up to date. And they support multi-point, so you can simultaneously have them connected to your phone and your computer, for example, and you're watching a video on your computer and hearing the audio out of that, and then your phone rings, and you can just pause the video and then just answer the phone call, and they'll automatically switch back and forth as needed. Basically, whatever device is generating sound is the one it will pair with, and they feature high-res audio, which is a pretty interesting accomplishment considering that they're an open ear design. Playback time, they are 8 hours of playback time on the earpiece itself, and you put them in the case and they have this very slim, elegant case, and you close it and it looks very slim. This gives you a total of 32 hours of playtime, and 5 minutes in the case will give you another hour of listening. It is worth noting that the case is pretty slim, and you charge the case with USB-C, but they've made the bold move of not including a USB-C charging cable. I can't imagine that would be an issue for anybody. At this point, I think we all have a drawer or a box or a shelf with 30 extra cables sitting on it, but it is worth knowing if for some reason this is the very first device you've ever purchased in your whole life. I don't think it will be. Now, one of the other cool things is it also has, because all devices now have it, it has smarts in terms of environmental noise canceling. So let me just double check. I'll give you a quick demo. Let me double check the sounds there. And yes, soundtrack to Thor Ragnarok, but that's not what we want. What we want is we want to give you an example of the sound it records. So this is my voice as recorded by the OpenRock S2 open ear headphones. And I can tell you from experience that if you have a lot of background noise, it does a pretty darn good job of getting rid of it. It's not perfect, but it's enough that you can take a quick phone call on the subway or in a crowded bar or something, and the other person will be able to hear you better probably than you'll be able to hear them. Because again, open ear design, but I'm really actually pretty impressed with the audio pickup. So let me switch microphones back. And there's not much else I can tell you. They are designed for sports and sport activities, so they are IPX5 sweat and water resistant. And there's a button you can push if your phone is in camera mode, and it will actually trigger the camera. So that's kind of fun. I imagine that's going to work best if you have a set for a couple of second delay, so you can push the button to trigger the camera, and then 3 seconds later it takes a selfie or something. Now, I don't take a lot of selfies, so I didn't test that feature out. But you might be the person who does a lot of that. Now, one more thing is it also has a very nice, let's get this recording going. It has a very nice app called ingeniously OpenRock. So let's go there. And it should see, here we are. So you can see that it's showing me battery levels. Everything is fully charged, and the guy doing that workout, that's boom mode. If I push the arrow, I can actually step through different EQ modes, and there is custom, so I can go and do my own custom mode if I want. If we scroll up further, you can do a max volume limiter. Probably not as critical when it's an open ear design as it would be if it was in your ear canal, but can't harm, right? And you have some gestures you can use. Spatial sound is definitely one worth experimenting with. Multi-point, you can turn that off if you don't need it. I'm not sure why you would. And I will say that auto power off, by default, it's set to never. So I would recommend you set it to something, and the intent there is if it doesn't get any audio signal for, let's say, 30 minutes, then it'll just automatically turn off and save your battery. I think that's a good thing. Voice prompts, find my buds. Most importantly, firmware version. Make sure you have the latest version. You can just tap on firmware version, and the current version is the latest. So super easy to work with. You don't have to have the app, but it is useful to be able to fine tune and again, to check your firmware version number. And that's really a whole heck of a lot of what I have. The other thing I will mention is if you wear glasses, you are going to have a little competition on that little space on the top of your ear, because this is going to want to be there and your glasses stem are going to want to be there. So not sure these are optimal for people that are wearing glasses, which makes it a bit tricky because you could also be wearing sunglasses because you're out for a jog. So that is something you're going to want to experiment with. Be aware, anything that goes over your ear obviously has that same challenge of competing for that space. But I found with a little experimentation, it's okay. It's not as comfortable as obviously not having them and just having your glasses, but then you wouldn't have the audio. So trade-offs. But that's what I wanted to show you. It includes a user manual. It includes a larger document that is warnings and cautions. Thank you, lawyers. And that's about it because, as I said, no charging cable, really nothing else. So it's just the earbuds themselves. God, I forgot I had the other one on. They're super comfortable. And you just put them in the case and close it up and you're good to go. And USB-C charging is needed. And so let's talk about the sound. Now, I will say that they actually sound surprisingly good. If you're in a super noisy environment, because it's an open ear design, they're competing with that. So they're gonna sound better in a really quiet environment, but it's remarkable how good they do sound, because a lot of open ear, you get just the high frequencies, but they've actually put some engineering into this to give you a more full and rich sound. And of course, there's that high-res audio, which should give you a bigger sound too. So it's still an open ear design, but it's really good for that design. And I think that they're very listenable. They're incredibly comfortable because they're not in your ear, so there's no ear fatigue. I think I could easily wear these for an entire day. And honestly, just as I just demonstrated, just forget I even have them on. So there's really a lot to like. If you're interested in open ear headphones, if you're an athlete and you're constantly out on a run or a bike ride, or even just going for a hike or a stroll, or working in the garden, then these are a really great design, and these are a really good option on the open ear style. So one's definitely to check out. Now, we do need to talk price. Before we get there, I'm going to ask you to subscribe to my channel. Click or tap on that subscribe button. Hit that bell icon for notifications of my new content. And if you liked what I did here, give me a thumbs up. Appreciate that. Sweet. These are the OpenRock S2 open ear headphones. They come in black or white, and they are $98.99 at Amazon.com. I think that's a pretty darn reasonable price for something with this quality of sound, Bluetooth 6.0, environmental noise cancellation on microphone pickup. They're just a super easy pair of headphones to have and wear and use. So that's what I got. Hope to catch you in my next video.